David Smalley I listened to a bit, and he basically was parroting, oh, Tom Rabbit. Hang on. Tom.
Hey, Doug, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good that you could come in. I was expecting the Mennonite guy, but you're just as good as a Mennonite. Do you know what a Mennonite is?
No. Hang on, I got an echo. I gotta turn something on. Hang on a second. Turn something.
So this is Tom Rabbit. He has his own YouTube channel where he focuses solely on exploiting and taking advantage of the troll Darth Dawkins. Is that a good, fair assessment?
Almost all of the content is Darth. You see, I can't actually have a successful YouTube channel without Darth.
Yeah.
I have a symbiotic relationship. Without Darth, I can't get subscribers or views or anything. So woe is me.
So Darth is your hope, meaning, and purpose, really.
Well, I mean, that just seems to be what
he's your god. You need to bow down and worship.
Yes, what the viewer base seems to really like as far as content.
Did you hear when I started the stream, I asked, hey, if you're around, come on in. Did you hear that, or did you just happen to be surfing and see me live?
I heard about that because people said you mentioned it, and then I went back and saw, but you had CC on, but
because
so you saw it, huh?
Yeah, I saw it. I had some thoughts, and so you presented an argument to Darth Dawkins, which of course he didn't want to address. But what was the argument again?
It was something like.
By the way, your mic, you're coming in really hot with your mic, so maybe pull your mic back a little bit.
A little better.
Yeah,
a little better.
Yeah.
The argument was something like, if the Christian God exists, I know that he exists. I don't know that the Christian God exists. Therefore, God doesn't exist. And I added another premise, because Darth does this thing about, tell me why you're an atheist, and then you have to prove all gods, right? So I added that one because of that. But that other premise is something like, either the Christian God exists or no gods exist, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, under Darth's view, if you falsify the Christian God, you have literally falsified all gods, right?
Right. Yeah, that's very clever and smart because that's exactly what they believe. There's any other worldview is what's the word they use? Ridiculous? No.
Absurd.
Absurd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I actually thought when I first heard you present this to Darth, I thought that Darth would actually play along and tackle the argument and then say, you do know that God exists.
Exactly. Right.
Were you expecting him to do that?
Of course. Yeah. I mean,
but he didn't even do that, did he?
No.
Why do you think he didn't take that?
Well, I've been thinking about that because, you can even hear me flipping through some pages. I had some, if an argument comes to mind, I might write it down if it sounds good or something. But that was just my first one, right? I was like, I'll just lead with this, right? That's the first one, Doug, right? And the very first one, something happened. Now, I even think that I've heard him respond to this. People have rendered this argument to him before, and he has responded. Now, I just thought that I could render it better. I could respond to the objections better, and I would just be able to, kind of poke a little bit more and just, it would just be better. But he never even engaged. So why is that? And I'm not entirely sure, but I have some theories. One is something about that first premise about either the Christian God exists or no God exists, right? Because I even had to twist his own arm to get him to admit what he actually thinks, right? There's another video on my channel where he's talking to Otangelo about this.
I heard that too.
It's just absolutely hilarious. It really is very funny. But even Otangelo's saying, hey, hang on a second. Darth, that's not a dichotomy. A dichotomy would be either the Christian God exists or the Christian God does not exist. What is this about either the Christian God exists or no gods exist? I don't understand, Darth. They're arguing back and forth. It's hilarious. Go check it out if you haven't. So I think that really sent him into. He was very confused. I don't think he understood, and I have this theory that maybe he actually wasn't sure what an internal critique was, because that makes it make sense. Otherwise, I don't understand what the problem is. Because
No, he knows what an internal critique. He has to. There's no way he doesn't know that.
But if you look at his responses, though, they're not responses that you would expect if he knew what that meant.
Well, it was just obvious that he didn't want to engage at all. But why? Well, he always wants to ask a question. He never wants to answer anything in general, although he did with me a little bit a long time ago. But yeah, I see. If I were him, knowing him a little bit, I would have just said, "Well, premise 2 or premise 3? You do know God exists. You're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness."
Right. Which is what people usually say. Right.
And for the life of me,
that's the standard.
Yeah, and for the life of me, I didn't understand why he didn't go there. And then I was thinking, maybe he didn't go there because how do you argue against someone's personal experience? I mean, to say that, no, you don't know, or you do know, how do you would almost have to be a psychic to know what people know or not truly, right?
Right. So that's true. I think my response would have been something like, if he says, no, you actually do know that God exists, I would just say, well, how is that different from nuh-uh?
Nuh-uh. That's funny.
I don't know that the Christian God exists. Nuh-uh. That's really what that objection is, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Well, I was thinking in my mind, you could, if he did say that, you could throw in another premise there somewhere, because in philosophy it's all just throwing in premises, right? You could say something instead of saying I know God doesn't exist, I know I'm suppressing the truth that God exists. So therefore, it's the same way of saying you don't know God exists, but you just throw in the word suppressing, and he would find it really difficult to push back on that because it's scriptural.
Right. There's I mean, you get into deeper, and then when he was talking to Atangelo, he didn't even render the argument correctly. He said, Tom Rabbit said, if God exists, I know he exists. I don't believe that he exists. Therefore, I mean, it's nothing to do with belief.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It's no, right?
Yeah.
Well, what does no mean, right? I was talking about this with someone else the other day, and what does no mean, right? Because
I can tell you what no means in his mind.
Right, it's justified true belief.
Well, and not.
Right?
He would take it further. I think presuppositional Calvinists would say that no means that you can't be wrong. That it's a binary switch, that justified true belief, true, that if it's a false thing, who cares if it's justified? It's not knowledge. You can't have knowledge on false things. So for Calvinists like him, or no, he's not a Calvinist, but presuppositionalists like him, it's certainty. It's a fact.
Well, here's what I would respond to about the no thing is that the presuppers view is that everyone knows this, and I talked briefly to even Matt Yester afterwards, I think, and some other guys, and Matt Yester was saying, hey, and I was saying, everyone supposedly knows this from the moment that they're born. And Matt Yester corrected me. He said, not from the moment you're born, from the moment you're conceived, right? And I said, okay, well, that's even better, right? So hold on a second. If this is some kind of innate knowledge that I have when I'm a zygote, right? Where's the justification part of knowing there? It can't even be knowledge by definition.
Yeah, you have to have a brain, I would think.
What's the justification for just instinctively, as soon as you're a zygote, you just have this knowledge, right? It's not.
Well, the justification is God, which makes it circular. It's like God gives you revelation, and you're justified knowing that it's true because, or that's knowledge, or just no, it's a true belief because God said so. And he's both the justification and the source of this claim to begin with. I don't know. It's a mess.
Right. These are all things we could have explored, right? But for some reason, Darth's brain turned to soup. I don't have an explanation for it. In the video, he says that he could have answered the question. And Artangelo said, "What do you think would happen if you did?" And he says, "Well, Tom Rabbit would have got destroyed," right? So this is the guy who's been relishing, just rubbing his hands together, thinking about, oh, when I get my hands on Tom Rabbit. He's been elusively evading me for so many years. Once I get him, it's going to be so great. I'm going to savor the humiliation. He actually used the words humiliation, and all of a sudden he gets me in a room. There's 99 people, right? He knows it's recorded in front of everybody. Gets his opportunity. I'm in the sights, right on my head, and he says, "Yeah, maybe not. Nah, I'll pass."
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
See, just by engaging in an argument with you, it violates Greg Bonson's rules and principles. And that is, you do not engage with an atheist in arguments until they have told you the foundation and basis for argumentation, what makes something false or true to begin with, right? And that's probably why he didn't do it. But you saw the video I did with him, and I asked him something even simpler. I asked him not to engage in an argument. I just asked him, do you believe Jesus Christ walked on water? And he wouldn't even answer that one.
Right.
So it just shows you that he's scared, he's terrified to actually get into it on his own beliefs. Because I really don't think he thinks he can defend it.
Right. What's he going to say other than nuh-uh? No, look, I want you to think about this, Doug, right? You know how many people are trying to find, this is what Darth calls the ultimate question, the only question, biggest question, right? We're exploring space, interstellar space, right? Philosophy, science, cosmic background, radiation, blah, 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 all the manners of man hours, resources, money being spent on trying to figure this out, right? Religions of every kind, right? Everywhere you look. However, we can figure it out if Tom doesn't know God exists.
Yeah.
Not only that, not only Tom. If one person doesn't know God exists, then no God exists.
Yeah. Well, I think if you believe the Bible's inerrant, inspired word of God, they almost have to believe that. They have to go there, because then Scripture revelation is wrong, and they can't stomach that. It becomes a house of cards for them.
Well, the presup thing is so appealing, is because it offers certainty.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it has to offer. That is what's most appealing.
Well, no, I don't know. Do you think it's certainty, or do you think it provides a way for them not to feel stupid for what they believe?
Well, that too. I mean, it provides many things, right? But one, the foundation is they're offering certainty, right? These other views, they don't know. We know, right? We know. These other views don't know.
Because in my experience, most presuppositional type apologists, Christians, are testosterone-filled. Something's wrong in their heads. Insecure. I'm psychologizing here, but shoot me. I mean, it's just like, I just get the impression that these are kids at the playground who just want to beat up people and want to show that they're strong. And like, have you ever seen a woman presuppositional apologist?
No, but you make a good point. I'll add to that in a second. But as far as the certainty thing goes, that's what presup can offer. But it's also one of its biggest weaknesses, because when you put it in like, oh, this guy Tom, look at him, point at him. If he doesn't know God exists, boom, the whole thing blows up, right? I mean, they put so much out there with certitude that it's actually easy to attack sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, they set themselves up to become a house of cards. You pull one thing out and they're toast. I think questions like asking them, do you believe the last 8 verses in the Gospel of Mark is revelation? Like, they don't want to go there with atheists. They might talk about it amongst their Christian friends, but so much rests on revelation, and that whole idea of revelation is so shaky. But anyhow, I got a Mennonite who wants to come in here, and they're a treat. So
Oh, okay. You want me to bounce? I'll take off and let you.
But thanks for hopping in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. It's great being here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, take care. I'm hoping the Mennonite is still here. Oh, yeah.